Good morning, FedPhoenix fam. So, I want to talk about a couple of things today. The first is, and I don't deal with making laws or modifying laws. Like, that's just not something I'm personally involved with. So, the first part is about that, something pertaining to that. The second thing I want to discuss today was just a general thing. So, let's get into it. So, I was thinking about this yesterday, right? One of my biggest pet peeves, right, is when people throw rocks and hide their hands. These are the people that smile in your face and talk about you behind your back, or the people that plant little seeds of, little nasty rumors or whatever. And then, play innocent, and it's a pretty simple concept. Throwing rocks and hiding your hands. And it really irks me because I'm not a perfect person. There have been times in my life where I may not have even been a particularly good person. But one thing I have always, throughout life, over 40 years, consistently been, is the person who lives in my truth and speaks my mind and asserts myself. If I have something to say to or about you, chances are you've heard it from my mouth to your ears on multiple occasions before anyone else was ever aware. And a lot of times, no one else ever will be aware. But because I just don't like unnecessary nonsense and drama. But there are some people, three in particular, at this stage in life, you know, that have been throwing rocks and hiding their hands, right? People that have had ugly things to say about me. Two of which like to upplay whatever good they think they've ever contributed in my life or whatever, but will not mention or downplay, usually just not even mention, the exceedingly more significant good I've contributed to their lives. And furthermore, will take truths, because a good lie is 90% truth. So they'll take things that are true and really twist them out of context to try to smear my name behind my back. But then when they see me, it's all smiles and how you doing? And I really feel like the reason why up to this point, and again, all three of these people, there have been issues off and on over a span of years. This is not a one-time isolated. If it was a one-time isolated thing, I wouldn't care. Or if it was just a few times, or if it was small stuff, I wouldn't care. But I really feel like that it would be completely justified to go punch these people in the face. However, I know that legally no judge is going to agree with me, which is why they have not, in fact, been mollywopped, possibly repeatedly at this point. So I say that to say, I think that there should be a provision in the legal system where if you can present a compelling case, right, with evidence or witnesses or whatever, just, make it legit, that there should be an exception made to a standing law for your particular circumstance, right? And in this case, and I can think of a few variations of circumstances where that would apply, but in the case of people that like to throw rocks and hide their hands, are also the same people that love to call the police and love to play victim. So it really becomes self-defeating to go ahead and just pop them. You know what I mean? Because you're going to have legal detriment, which of course comes with social and financial detriment. And they're going to use the fact that you popped them right in their suckhole to further, drag your character, try to provide support for some of the things they've said about you that were less than savory. And I really think that there should be like a process, right, where you apply for like an exemption to prosecution, let's just call it. And you present your case to a judge like, this is this year, this month day, there was this incident, then this, and this. It's at a point where this person is bothersome. And, we could have guidelines for it. No weapons. I think that's fair. If you want to say no face shots, I don't really like it, but I'll take it as a compromise. I can accept that. You can't assault them to the degree that requires inpatient hospitalization. I mean, there's certain, I think that it's reasonable, because we're not barbarians, we're civilized people, to have guidelines on this and to have, parameters that have to be met and criteria. But I think it should be a thing. I really do. And I just, I broke my right shoulder years ago. So sometimes my shoulder acts up a little bit, and I'm a righty. I'm right hand dominant, not a southpaw. So sometimes when it's really cold, that shoulder will hurt, will get a little achy. And I'm really just hoping that when the day comes that my youngest child is an adult, right? And I have a little bond money put aside if this legal thing I'm proposing never happens, which I'm sure it won't. I'm really hoping that that shoulder can just hold up until then, so I can put it to the use that I very much desire to. So, not to say there might not be a moment in Walmart where I pass one of these people and I just forget for a second. I just, oopsie, that I don't have bond money, and that short and long term would be more to my detriment to pop them. I may have a moment, a lapse, we'll say, where that just kind of out the window. At my age, memory can really get a little tricky. And I might be on here asking for contributions to my bond. So there's that. I wanted to address that because it's been heavy on my mind. And there was a recent situation that really stirred it back up. And I just thought, what a wonderful world it would be if we could discipline adults the way that we can discipline our children, because obviously these people have not been disciplined correctly to understand personal accountability and consequence. And what a public service it would be, right? To teach them that. I see no wrong and no foul in this. So, anywho, like most of you, they say the government shutdown is coming to an end or has ended, or I don't know. But I guess that's contingent upon another voting thing in January. So there's been a lot of just kind of buzz online, speculation that perhaps the shutdown will pick back up in January. So for those of you who get public assistance or just people that are trying to be prepared for things, I would certainly say whenever, if you get anything in November, because some people won't get it until December and they'll just get November's and December's, definitely be very conscientious with your spending. If you're not a person that gets public assistance, if you're not wealthy, be conscientious with your spending. Create economic and financial and just supplies type things, safety nets for yourself. If you can pay an extra $5 or $10 on a bill, do it. If you can put aside some shelf stable whatnots, that are going to last a couple years in case you need them, do it. If you can buy a couple extra rolls of toilet paper or some extra shampoo or, a little extra pet food. My pet owners out there, y'all know what I mean. Y'all got to be prepared. With my cats, I try to stay stocked up at least a couple months in advance. So God forbid if there were ever a crisis or a difficult time, which I think we're all going through a difficult time, I don't have to lose sleep over, oh my gosh. And one thing that, having been incarcerated, definitely really drilled into my head was 2 is 1, 1 is none. And this is how the mind state you have to have about your shampoos and your deodorants and your peanut butter and all these things that, you buy off commissary in your locker, particularly because I was at a facility during COVID that had supply chain issues, and sometimes very basic things like toothpaste, it might be months that none comes in to buy. And when it does come in, there ain't enough for everybody to buy one. So it can get a little tricky, little politics in there to survive. But in the free world, I definitely try to stay at least a month ahead of time on hygiene, on cleaning supplies, on the cat's necessities, on food, just to make sure that in whatever crises may arise in life, we are prepared. So I strongly advise everyone who is not wealthy to really develop the mind state that 2 is 1, 1 is none. So, and even like before my truck got totaled, when I keep my gas at half a tank and up. And once, to me, in my head, I tell myself half a tank is empty. So once I get down to nearing half a tank, it's time to go get more gas. And a lot of people say, well, I can't afford to keep my tank filled up like that. If you can afford it one time, you can afford it, right? Because if in your head you tell yourself half a tank is empty, then you'll be replacing the same amount of gas regardless to what the thingy says. It's just, I really just want to, as a human being who genuinely cares, I really want to emphasize that economic awareness and preparedness are not only very significant in this moment, which I think a lot of people are realizing, but don't get lulled into a sense of comfort in the near future, because not only is it generally important, but I do believe over the next couple years, it's going to continue to be a crap show. As far as various economic things in this country. And we really have to buckle down and be ready for that. So, and I hope you are. And whatever you're going through, and I've always said this, but whatever you're going through, no matter how difficult, how ugly, how overwhelming, and I know a lot of people, myself included, are going through a lot of overwhelming things right now. Remember, it is a slice of your life, and you will get through because you have to. Everything in this life is temporary. Heck, this life is temporary. So no matter how much you find yourself being sucked into the muck, and maybe some days you just feel like you can't breathe, you're drowning on air because things become so overwhelming or stressful. Always play in your head, this is temporary. Everything in this life, it's temporary. It's going to end. It's going to be over. It's going to be in the review. And try to focus on what comes next or what is after when being in the moment is just too difficult. And that's okay. So with that, I just wanted to drop a little video, like I said, there was a recent situation that really made me want to boop, boop someone. And I thought, logically, right, from a very logical society being a productive place for everyone kind of standpoint, I think I should be able to do such without consequence. Of course, knowing that that's not reality stops me from doing it, but, just would love your opinion on that. But, yeah, and I know that, I'm frequently reminded, just being observant and being aware and talking to folks of how difficult things are right now. And a lot of the difficulties I hear about and I see really make mine seem small in comparison. And then there are some where people are in far easier situations and they're fussing more than I ever would. And I almost want to kind of just roll my eyes and be like, pfft. But perspective is reality. So if this person has a less significant problem or issues or difficulties, and they are losing their mind, I'm not losing my mind because of my perspective. They're losing their mind because of their perspective. And I can't discredit or invalidate or not take serious someone's response to something when obviously that response is a direct reflection of their perspective, what they perceive is true, is happening or is going on, or their situation is for them very much their reality. So, and I try to be empathetic based upon that as well. If you would like to donate to the channel, maybe help me survive, the rough patch we're all in. My Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal will be in the description, as well link to the merchandise line if you'd like to get you some FedPhoenix gear. And my email will be as well if you need to contact me for any reason, in these very difficult times. We have to really control our perspectives and really consciously be aware and empathetic towards one another. So, check on your neighbors, check on your friends. There are a lot of people out here going through a lot that have too much pride or don't want to feel vulnerable by revealing that even just a smile or a kind word or a simple gesture would probably be more support than they would ever feel entitled to ask for. And we should happily give that freely as much as possible. So with that, good day, God bless, and I'll holler at y'all later.